Welcome to Upticks. I'm Jake Falcon, the founder of Falcon Wealth Advisors and your host of Upticks. Today is episode 110, Restricted Stock Units. Okay, welcome back to the show. Before we dive into today's episode, I hope that all of you out there are staying safe and healthy during this horrible pandemic. Also wanted to thank you for tuning in to YouTube. If you're watching this, our subscriber count continues to grow, and we appreciate a thumbs up if you think the content's good, or certainly if you have any feedback, feel free to email me directly at jake@falconwealthadvisors.com. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast platform, I also want to thank you for tuning in and give a thumbs up and make sure that you do subscribe so that you don't miss an episode of Upticks. You can also find me out there on all the various social media platforms. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And like I mentioned before, if you have any questions or comments, my email is jake@falconwealthadvisors.com. Okay, for today's topic, I wanted to talk about a unique perk or benefit if you work at a publicly traded company, and that is something called a restricted stock unit, or also referred to as RSUs. And what an RSU simply is a company, as a form of a bonus, will issue out literally stocks to you, but the caveat or the reason that they are restricted is that normally you'll have a vesting schedule. And what a vesting schedule simply means is that there's a period of time that you must wait before you can access your bonus, or in this case, your company stock. Now, these schedules or vesting schedules can be typically in two forms. There can be a gradual schedule, which basically over years, so maybe a third becomes vested in 1 year, and then another third in 2 years, and then the final third in 3 years. Or you can have a form of cliff vesting, which means maybe after 3 years, all of your bonus or your stock is vested and you can do what you will with it. So you want to make sure that you work with your HR group to figure out what your vesting schedule is and let your financial advisor know so that they can plug that into your financial plan. For many of our clients, we're very familiar with their company's restricted stock unit, and we do restricted stock unit awards, and we do plug that into their financial plans already. Now, when you do become vested, it normally is a taxable event. So that, let's say you received 1,000 shares, whatever that value is, typically will trigger some sort of ordinary income taxation on you. Now, again, you always want to consult with your tax advisor to understand this, but a lot of times companies, if you received 1,000 shares and your net amount after taxes is 923 shares or whatever it is, many times your employer can withhold the amount of shares that you would owe on taxes so that you don't have to worry about that. But it's, again, something you want to double check with your tax advisor and certainly your benefits department. Now, what's unique about restricted stock units as compared to stock options that many employers give out as well is that if they give you a restricted stock unit and the stock is valued at $50 a share, and by the time you become vested, let's say the stock is now trading at 40, well, traditionally speaking, with a stock option, that would be what's called underwater and it would be worthless. The good news with restricted stock units is if that stock is trading at $40, even though they gave it to you at 50, there still is some value there. You still can cash that in for $40 a share, minus taxes, of course. So that's a neat little perk. Now, what happens though is when you do become vested, you're going to have some decisions to make. Do you keep the money in the company's stock? Do you trade options against the stock? Or do you just outright cash it in and use the money for other things, or diversify? Now, I wish I could tell you that there was a perfect answer to that question. There's not. And so with our clients at Falcon Wealth Advisors, we'll take a look at all of your options, take a look at the tax implications, and help you make a good decision that correlates with your financial plan. That's very important. But I encourage you to work with somebody, such as an advisor at Falcon Wealth Advisors, that's familiar with restricted stock units and how they're awarded to help you plan accordingly. With many of our clients, we'll transfer them over and hold them and trade options against them. Again, that's a very advanced strategy. That's a topic for a whole nother show that we're not going to go into today. But there are some things that you can do to take advantage of what is classified as a concentrated stock position, potentially. Again, it depends how many shares that you receive. But there is an opportunity there to do some things to generate an income stream. So it's a great perk. Not all companies give them. They're a nice bonus. Again, I favor them as opposed to a typical benefit of stock options, because the stock can go down in value and there can still be some sort of benefit there. So you're not worried about the stock price going down below your what's called a grant price, and that's the day that you're awarded the shares. But it's a win-win. It's a win for the employer, and the reason it's a win for the employer is that they retain good employees. If you're awarded a bunch of shares, typically that'll incentivize you to stick around so that you get vested and you keep working. So that's good for the employer, that they keep good employees and they reward them for their work. And it's good for the employee. You get a nice benefit, a perk. And if your stock in your company goes up from when they grant it, that award could be worth that much more. Now, I guess the con for both, the con is, again, more money out of the company's pocket, or shares out of the company's pocket. And the con for the employee is you typically do have to stick around to be able to be vested. Now, there could be other hidden rules. If you take a buyout package, maybe they'll vest them or maybe they won't. So certainly things that you want to be aware of before you separate from a company. But there's pros and cons to them. They're a great perk. At Falcon Wealth Advisors, we're very familiar with restricted stock units. And if you have some or know somebody that has some and wants help building a financial plan around them, let me know. Certainly send me an email at jake@falconwealthadvisors.com, and we can take a look and help you make some good decisions. All right, so that's all the time that I do have for you today. I did want to bring up, I have a book that I just finished that I wanted to put up on camera here. If you're watching this, it's called Subliminal, and it talks about how your unconscious mind rules your behavior. And it's by Leonard, and I can't pronounce his last name, Maldonado, I think is how you say that. Really fascinating book. He goes into a lot of detail about why our automatic brain thinks or comes up with certain thoughts or biases towards certain things. I found it very interesting. He didn't really talk much about how to respond to those things. It was more of an explanation of why our brain is doing what it is doing, which I thought is really fascinating, very easy to read. Highly recommended. I'm going to be buying it for our Falcon Wealth Advisors library. If you don't know what that is, we do have a private client library where we do share books. Certainly with COVID going on, clients aren't coming to the office, but if you do want a copy and you're a client, let me know. We'll send one out to you, courtesy of Falcon Wealth Advisors. We think knowledge is a big deal. It's a big part of our core values, and we love sharing that with our clients. Other than that, on a fun side, not much. Our favorite pooch, Einstein, he's still having a lot of fun. He's healing up well from his neutering and his stomach stapling. So all is well on that front. He's still a bundle of joy, and he's the same dog. He's got a ton of energy and having a lot of fun. Recently, I got some landscaping done. I got some Taylor junipers planted in my backyard. So if anybody needs a landscaper, I've got a great one. They do fantastic work. I'm going to be really excited to see those grow. I think they're about 6 foot tall right now. I think they get up to 20 feet. So I'm really excited to see how those take shape. And we continue with our home improvement projects. I think Rachel has some more up her sleeve that we'll be working on, and I'm sure I'll be sharing with all of you. So like I said in the beginning here, I hope all of you are staying safe and healthy out there. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you have a great week.